me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, Ray, we can hear
Uh,
you.
all right, thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I'll be discussing Philippines at a glance. I am first and foremost Ray Adrian Macalag. I am a civil engineer by profession, but right now I am connected with the National Economic and Development Authority as a senior economic development specialist. So this is a very quick presentation, and I do hope that I won't consume that much time. Okay, so we are actually at the very edge of Asia. So the Philippines is located in Southeast Asia and is among the four nations of the region separated from Asia mainland, together with Brunei, Indonesia, and Timor-Leste. It is composed of 7,640 islands, covering a total area, including inland bodies of water, of around 300,000 square kilometers. So quick facts and statistics, our capital city is Manila, but the largest city in terms of population is Quezon City, that is actually just north of Manila. We have 19 regional languages, but our official languages are actually Filipino and English. And well, actually most of us know English because it is part of our education. One moment. Okay. Um, for religion, we are 92.2% Christianity with a big number in Roman Catholicism and 5.6 Islam, and the rest are other religions. Area again is 300,000 square kilometers, and our currency is Philippine peso, and 1 yuan is actually equal to 7 pesos and 46 centavos. Time zone, we have the same time zone as China at UTC plus 8. And we are actually the 12th largest country in terms of population at 107,190,081. And our GDP for purchasing power parity based on IMF 2021 estimate is $1 trillion, and we rank 29th. And for the GDP in nominal scale, still from the IMF 2021 estimate, we are at $402.64 billion, and we rank 32nd. For our geography, we are actually proud to have the world's fifth longest coastline, close to Russia, who ranks fourth, and longer than those of Japan and United States. So we have 36,289 kilometers of coastline. And sitting astride the typhoon belt, the Philippines actually experiences on a usual basis 15 to 20 typhoons annually from July to October. And actually just last week, one typhoon just passed by our country, and yeah, we're just chilling. Next is we have around 20 earthquakes as well registered daily, though most of it are too weak to be felt. And we also have a lot of volcanoes like Indonesia, and we have several that are popular here, which is the Mayon volcano, as seen in the picture, having this beautiful scenery, although it's erupting. Then we also have Mount Pinatubo and Taal volcano, which actually erupted last year. For our economy, the Philippines is actually a newly industrialized country, and we have actually shifted from an agricultural based economy to a more of an industrial and service economy. For primary exports, we actually export semiconductors, electronic products, transport equipment, garments, copper products, petroleum products, coconut oil, and various fruits, the leading of which is banana. And tourism sector is actually vital for the Philippine economy. And in 2019, the travel and tourism industry contributed 12.7% of the country's GDP. And actually, we have a lot of Chinese visitors. I don't know if you've been to Boracay, but actually, there's a lot of Chinese visitors there. For science and technology, we actually have several research organizations in the country, and one of which is the International Rice Research Institute, which focuses on the development of new rice varieties and rice crop management techniques. And the Philippines has been investing heavily on critical infrastructure and enabling tools for disaster preparedness, such as Doppler radars, LiDAR technology, and wide scale installation of locally developed sensors for accurate and timely disaster information nationwide. So actually, because we experience earthquakes, we experience a lot of typhoons, so we really need to be prepared with disasters. Now, focusing on infrastructure, for air transport, we actually have Manila, Iloilo, Cebu, Davao, Clark, Subic, Zamboanga, Lawag, and Puerto Princesa as the international gateways in the country, with Ninoy Aquino International Airport, as shown in the picture, in Manila as the main and premier gateway of the country. So this is the India Terminal 3 on the photograph. And we also have Philippine Airlines as the country's biggest airline company. It has the largest number of international flights to the Philippines as well as domestic flights. So we reach as far as New York and London from Manila. That is, I think, the longest flight from the Philippines. Now, for sea transport, we actually have the Philippine Nautical Highway System. So because we are actually an archipelago and we are composed of many islands, so what we actually do is we have this roll-on roll-off ports, and these ports actually link our national highways. So as you can see at the photo down below, all the black lines on the map are actually nautical highways, or the shipping routes wherein it connects the national highways to the roll-on roll-off ports. So we are actually connected from Luzon to Mindanao and several major islands in the country with these ships. For land transport, the rail transportation in the Philippines is currently used mostly to transport passengers within Metro Manila and the neighboring provinces. So actually right now there are also plans in Mindanao, specifically in Davao City, to have a railway network there, as well as in Cebu, I think, and also here in our city in Iloilo. The jeepneys are the most popular means of public transportation in the Philippines, and it is sort of a tourist attraction in itself. As you can see there on the top left of the screen, that's an example of a traditional jeepney, although we are already undergoing a modernization transition right now. And we are already making use of modern jeeps, which look similar to buses. And these traditional jeepneys will be more of a tourist attraction in the long run. No, not anymore as a public transportation system. And next would be having a long national road network of 33,120 kilometers. We are proud to say that 98.21% of it is paved, either by asphalt or concrete, and 77.57% is in fair to good condition. And also, if you can see below, we have this San Juanico Bridge, and this is currently the longest bridge in the country. And we also have a lot of planned long span bridges here, some of which might be funded by China. And this is a summary of our national road network. So we have a grand total of 33,119.57 kilometers. And we actually classify it as primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary being this connected at least 3 cities, and secondary if it connects 2 provinces, and tertiary are other roads which are maintained by the national government. For water supply and sanitation, the Philippines' main sources of water are rivers, lakes, river basins, and groundwater reservoirs. The longest and largest river, Cagayan River, discharged approximately 53,943 million cubic meters of water annually. And as of 2016, 96% of Filipino households have an improved source of drinking water, and 92% of households had sanitary toilet facilities. For the last slide, for the infrastructure, well, actually, we have this what we call a build program, which is a centerpiece program of the current administration, because over the years we have lacked upgrading of our infrastructure, and it has already had a big cost on our economic development. So right now there's a lot of infrastructure going on in the Philippines. The Build program also seeks to accelerate public infrastructure expenditure from an average of 2.9% of the GDP to 7.3% of the GDP by 2022. This will cost around 8 to 9 trillion from 2016 to 2022 to address the huge infrastructure backlog in the country. So this would be the last one, and this would be partly like a tour of my city where I am from. So this is Iloilo City, a model city, and best practices for a growing city here in the Philippines. So first, of course, when we do something or when we develop something, there are challenges. And for this particular city, well, Iloilo City is at least 1 meter below sea level. Located at the center of the Philippines, it is at the typhoon path. And in 2008, it was flooded with unprecedented damage and casualties. I was in high school back then. The city's continuous growth in the recent years have brought a high demand for mobility, and traffic congestion is getting worse. We also have a lot of carbon emissions, which are increasing, and the high density of concrete structures produce many urban heat islands. So it's really getting warmer and warmer here in the city because there's just a lot of buildings. And heritage structures are not utilized, well, actually in the past. So one solution that the government did was this partnership with the government of Japan way back about 10 years ago. So this is the Iloilo City Flood Control Project. And as you can see here, this is a floodway. So we rechanneled a part of the river to make sure that the water would just leave immediately from the city and not flood a lot of residential areas in this portion of the city. This one is Iloilo Esplanade, and we are actually proud that we have this longest linear park along a river in the Philippines. And if you can see here in the photos, there are people jogging, there are people using their bikes because we are trying to also promote an active commute for people wherein they will just be using a bike to work, which is not common for countries which have a very hot climate. So we actually plant trees along this path so that there will be shade and that biking will not be a problem even if it's very hot. So this is the widest highway that we have in our city, and it's actually 8 lanes of a main carriageway, then a protected bike lane, and yeah, if you can see here, the trees are still small. They're still growing. And it has also a 2-lane service road at the left side. And we also have these pink trumpet trees that some Filipino visitors and even international visitors would confuse as the sakura. I think there are also sakura in China. And this is actually pink trumpet trees, and it's not of the same species actually, but they look pretty similar. And we also have a lot of heritage sites that were developed as a result of our discovery that there's been a lot of heritage structures decaying already and being neglected. So we have completed a lot of redevelopment projects here in the city. And right there, let's go first with the photo on top. The Museum of Philippine Economic History was formerly a big mansion, but right now it is already used as a museum, and it used to belong to somebody who wasn't here in the Philippines anymore. So the government actually took the property and developed it, and it is now already a museum. At the bottom is the Western Visayas Regional Museum, and it is actually an old prison, and it was literally rotting, and it was a very neglected location. And we developed the structure itself and turned it into a museum, and at the same time the surrounding grounds were then landscaped, and we also ensured that trees were not cut and would just complement the existing landscape. Next is the old Iloilo Central Business District, and as you can see here, there's a lot of bike festivals going on here in the city, as we are promoting it as the most bike friendly city in the Philippines. So yeah, you can bike around the city and explore the old Central Business District. Next would be the Sunburst Park is actually a newly developed park. There used to be a big grandstand here, which is an eyesore, to be honest. And well, it was taken into account that it could have been a better place. And so stakeholders really participated well, and right now it's a developed park. And at the bottom is St. Anne Parish Church. We have a lot of churches here. In my city alone, we have about 7 churches looking similar to St. Anne Parish. And all over the Philippines, there's just a lot because we are a Catholic country. And of course, because our city has been quite old, and we want to maintain those portions, we developed a new central business district up in the northern part of the city. And we also have this Iloilo Convention Center. We have several hotels, and we also have some shopping centers, which are typically new, but following the architecture that has been maintained here in the Philippines. So that's it for our country. And on behalf of the Philippines, salamat and mabuhay.
Hello, Ray.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Enoch from Ghana. You have to send us invite one of these days to visit Philippines, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. You have to visit my city. It's very beautiful here.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Let's welcome next group from Trinidad and Tobago.